Good evening and welcome to the coffee table. These are definitely interesting times. There's so much happening in our country and around us too. So we have the Indian elections panning out. It's going to go right up till the 19th of May. We're hearing a lot of noise of what's happening there. But we thought, we will take a little break from elections, from electioneering and all that. And we managed to get hold of one of the most interesting people you're likely to see on the coffee table. His bio that's probably running on your screen right now, or will run the moment the camera turns on him, says Vice President of the Hashoo School of Hospitality. Right? I hope I've got that right. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Here is a man, right, who scored a scholarship to Miami University because he was a tennis player. But his employers decided to send him to Cornell, right? So he said, I was never intelligent. I said, no, it is your employers who were intelligent. They didn't let you go to Miami. So we have with us Azam Jamil. Azam,
thank you.
Welcome to the coffee table.
Thank you for having me.
Right, there's so much to talk to you about.
I know.
Right? So let's start with the beginning. So tennis champ, 40 years in hospitality.
44.
44 years.
Sadly.
Every time I try to think and consider that I've got it right, I said 30, you said no, 40.
I wish it was 40, but it's not.
It's 44. 44 years. And you worked with the venerable Noor Khan.
Absolutely.
Carried the briefcase for him.
Absolutely.
That must have been tremendous.
Oh. The man was literally a phenomena, and he is the type of a person that you never wanted to leave.
You never wanted to.
You never wanted to leave. I mean, if he wanted to promote you and send you somewhere, you'd say, I'm fine here.
Yeah.
He was one of those persons.
One of those people, right? So we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about some anecdotes that you shared with me. So Mehr, you know Azam from Twitter or off Twitter?
Yes, I do.
So we all know each other from...
I see him playing...
And this is interesting, huh? We know each other from Twitter.
I'm going to comment on what I noticed the most about him. Yeah. Him and his photographs.
Right.
He posts photographs of everything that he's... Okay, not everything, but things that can be shown.
The latest one was of his granddaughter,
Arya.
Right,
because I'm a Game of Thrones fan. So,
okay.
So I got the reference. And she even looks like Arya Stark, by the way.
When she was named Arya, ignorant as I am, I had no idea that there was a Game of Thrones.
Okay. And there's an Arya who's a global star.
I started watching Game of Thrones after she was born and after she was named.
How old is she?
She's 5.
So
Game of Thrones started in 2011.
Yes.
I'm very upset that you didn't know
I
Arya
hadn't watched a single
And she
episode.
even looks like her, by the way.
She does?
She does. She has the same fierce expression on her face. But why hospitality?
Okay.
What made you think that Pakistan needed courses on hospitality? Even when you started working in this field, why hospitality?
Well, I started working in hospitality, I think, in the Jurassic period.
Yeah.
I just finished school, and I was just fooling around and...
you were fooling around?
Well, not
you
that...
were bumming around.
I was playing...
That was the 60s. Everybody bummed around.
I was a tennis player. So,
you were a tennis player.
I was playing tennis. I had long hair.
So you were a tennis bum.
Yeah, I was a musician. I was doing everything that I was not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Mumtaz Khan, who became managing director of Pakistan Services, he was an oil man. Yeah. He sort of got his new team together, and he offered me to join the hotel line, and I had no idea what it was.
So PSL were the owners of the Intercontinentals,
absolutely,
right?
And Air Marshal Noor Khan was chairman of PSL.
PSL.
Yes.
Is that because PIA had an investment in PSL?
22% and 22%.
What was the first job?
This was my first job.
No, but what was
what was it? I was what they called operational analyst, and that was
you were a long-haired tennis player who played music, who didn't really know what he was going to do with his life. So why did they give you this complicated, complex sounding...
It just sounds complex. All it does is that you look at the financial statements at the end of the month and you start doing the analysis.
See, even then it doesn't go with what...
No, you're not counting money. You're just counting trends and...
Yield management.
What's happened, why is the cost high, why are you spending more on...
Because the hotel has 100% perishable inventory.
Absolutely.
The room I don't book this night, that revenue is gone.
It's gone, absolutely. So the MD wanted a report at the end of the day, how the Intercontinentals, and of course we had Dhaka at that time.
Right, absolutely.
Dhaka was amongst our inventory.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was that there was very little trust in Pakistani management. And we had expatriates galore.
Right.
the chief steward of the Lahore Intercontinental was a Frenchman.
Right.
And the chief steward is responsible for washing dishes. And even that position was given...
But wouldn't you like him to read out the menu?
That gentleman, Mr. Pierre Martinet, when I left Intercontinental, was president of the Intercontinental Pacific Asia Division.
Oh, brilliant.
So from chief steward, he went...
So he must have been training on the job, right?
He wasn't.
Yeah. He wasn't?
He wasn't. He
really?
actually made it up very rapidly. Very rapidly. So we were fortunate that we learned from the people who knew the job. They were all expats. And Intercontinental was not a franchise. It was a managed operation. So the entire management was Intercontinental New York. I was sent to training overseas, of course, and you learn things the hard way. And so it was a good start. And then I never looked back for one simple reason, that I didn't know how to do anything else. This is the only thing I knew how to do.
Come on.
Really, I just got so comfortable.
Why didn't you go into EMI? You knew music, you loved music.
Oh, okay.
Do you sing?
No, I don't sing. If you have a sense of humor, I sing. EMI is very interesting because Bukhari Saab is related to my wife. Yeah. And he's Arshad Mahmood and all they did. So I was interested in music, but I wasn't really good enough to become a professional, you know. So, and I have two celebrity cousins on either side. Rohel Ayat from the thing, and Ali Hamza from my father's side.
Right.
Oh. So, yeah, Ali is the mother and I are cousins. So I have...
so Ali Noor and Ali Hamza?
Yeah.
Huh?
So Ali
were you good with people?
Oh, very good.
Right from the beginning.
I still
obviously. When you were a child, some people are, some children are. They're comfortable.
First of all, I was the only child. Okay. Then brought up in a place like Atakoil Morga, which was one big happy family. You know, I used to jump the wall.
Gated community.
Exactly. I used to jump the wall and spend 3 days in a friend's house before dad knew I was missing.
That's not good.
You know, it was,
as a mother.
Because he knew that you can't go anywhere. So it was a lovely childhood. We were all living in...
It depends on who was living in the neighborhood.
Well, everybody was living. Dr. Malia Lodi was living in the neighborhood. Okay. And we've known each other from that point.
You've just possibly named our future national security advisor.
I have?
Are you trying to tell us?
No. And I'm sure if Malia watches this program,
she's going to kill me. Is he dropping names?
No, I'm not.
Just teasing you. You're serious. You're too serious.
I know. I don't do this often. So, but no, it was a lovely childhood, and then went to boarding school.
Right.
So I went to Burn Hall and spent throughout till.
Was the water cold at that time?
Look at his questions.
It's a very valid question. We were asked to take showers in the winter with cold water.
But
we have no idea what it means.
What I've heard about, for instance, Murray Convent is that they used to get my cousins who were there, I guess in the late 70s and early 80s. They had very little water. They hardly ever bathed, but they had very little water too. So whenever there's no water in my tap, I always think of the Murray Convent girls.
No, we had plenty of water. It was just not the right temperature.
Just freezing cold.
It's the temperature that was the problem.
The quantity was never.
Was Keith stuck?
Well, you see, what happened was, if you remember the olden hammams, which had the coal burning. Okay. Now, they had these 3 or 4 hammams, but it was first come, first served basis. It was like food. It was like the dining room. If you got there first, you got the most food.
It's like being in a jail.
In a boarding house, the best meal of the day is breakfast.
Yes, but you don't make it on time. That's the problem. You always want to sleep. That's the only meal that you're really late for. And then you're running and, and you want to get to class. And so lunch and dinner, we were starving by that time, And Burn Hall made 20% extra food, which meant that those who finished first will get that 20% extra. So I'm one of the fastest eaters on the planet.
Your love of food was born. Listen, no, I'll contradict that. The fastest eater on the planet I've seen is Hussain Harun.
Well,
by the time you're finishing your appetizer, he's on dessert. And he's invited you for dinner.
There are many things my wife doesn't like in me. One of them is that I eat so fast that she's on her starters and I'm on my dessert. Because I'm just used to eating fast, because I know if I finish fast, I'll get more food. And if you just relax.
So all these years of hospitality has not taught you to
now
pace your food
if I do it, I have to put up an act. And that's why I don't like sit-down dinners, because then you are governed by somebody else's speed.
No, absolutely.
And I'm not. I'm a hit-and-run kind of person.
So he won't be able to go to a
You need to be very careful about what you're saying, because we're going to pick that up. Hit and run, right? You didn't make it to Miami.
No.
But you're still a hit and run
person, yes.
I'm Haroon and Odysseus, I hope you're going to hit. I'm going to send you the link. Everything this guy said.
So tennis. You still play tennis? You still play tennis?
No, I don't play tennis at all. I play a lot of golf. I'm a reasonably...
But you were a Davis Cupper, weren't you?
Yes, I am a reasonably good golf player now. I gave up tennis because I just felt that the risk of breaking something was very high.
Yeah.
You hear the sound and then you're, for the rest of...
I've never heard of somebody not playing tennis because they were scared of
if you're on the wrong side...
I thought he was going to say that there was no future.
No, he played...
To be a professional.
No, I did. I'm just saying now.
I know, you did.
Now I stopped playing tennis.
Achha, now.
Yes, I'm talking...
Okay.
Yeah.
I was...
He's talking about old age.
I'm not going to use that word.
I think I'd crossed 50.
He used the word Jurassic. Right?
True.
When he started his career.
Yeah, exactly. I was on... I think
you got to be careful with this guy
I say this to people all the time, that when I was in college 100 years ago, and then people on Twitter, literally, they say, okay, you're actually that old, and they start a discussion.
Yes. No, I think I had crossed 50 when I decided to quit tennis.
Right.
I just thought I could play golf longer.
Yeah, of course.
And I could do it, as long as he keeps me alive. But tennis is something...
So it's not really hit and run and hit and walk.
Exactly. And also, Faisal, when you've played reasonably good quality tennis, then you can't be a Mickey Mouse tennis player. You try to outdo your ability, and then
you can't go to a club.
So did you ever run into Vijay Amritraj?
No, but I ran into Anand.
You did?
One,
okay.
And Ashok I ran into. Right. Vijay I never ran into.
The three brothers.
Yeah. And
I had to drop that name. I met Vijay.
Oh, you did? Okay.
In London.
No.
And you know why? Because he was running a company in California, and he wanted to buy cricket rights.
And he had a film producing company.
Yeah, he had a film producing company also, but plus he had he was running a media.
But you were also friends with Amitabh Bachchan's brother.
Yeah,
well, we were partners in a business.
So let's do more name dropping here.
However, the person that I've met quite a few times is absolutely glorious tennis player, Haroon Rahim.
Haroon Rahim. I talked about him today. I actually saw him play.
Have you interacted with the younger Pakistani tennis players like Azam and...
I was the manager of the Davis Cup team.
Yeah, he was the manager.
I just took them to Colombo.
I've talked to him once in a while on Twitter, and I've been following his career. And I think...
And Azam is also a nephew. He's also a nephew.
Oh my God, he's related to everybody.
That's our father's side. Yeah. His grandfather and dad...
And his cousin.
Yes. So Azam and the team I took to... Colombo 2 years ago, I was the manager. Mr. Salim Saifullah, who is the president of the Pakistan Tennis Fed, he asked me to take the team. And since I was an ex-tennis player, I knew the boys well, so we gelled well.
Plus, it's a lot of strategy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You have to plan.
Is the government supportive?
Of tennis?
The last time I spoke to Azam, he's always been very critical.
Well, the government...
Not getting much support from the government.
It's not a popular government support sport. Government stays away from tennis. It doesn't appeal to the government.
But it's a hugely popular game. It's not that we're talking about something that is irrelevant in the rest of the world.
One benchmark of sports in the country is that you can't be good at a sport that's not played in schools.
Yeah, that's true.
Or on the street.
Tennis is not played in schools. It's
or
not
on
played,
the street.
Only the fortunate few who members of
the
clubs.
Gymkhana members.
Yeah, Gymkhana members.
That is true.
Or the markers' children.
Yeah.
So they have access to tennis courts.
Which is where squash went.
Right?
Exactly. Because squash, one family.
No, but if there had been more interest in the sport, don't you think something could have been done about it? Courts ban jate.
I think he's put his finger on it. It's like if you don't play it in school, there's no grassroots talent coming through.
So schools don't
People pick up the tennis racket when they're 8 years old.
Talking of schools, I was such a big critic of all these new schools that open in a house and there's no playgrounds. And I kept screaming and screaming. And finally, Beacon House did make a school in Islamabad, purpose-built with grounds. And I was actually called there to come and have a look. And I thought that they were inviting me as chief guest for some sporting event, and they came to show me and said, you used to scream, look at the grounds, they're all empty.
Yeah.
Not one set of parents sets their kids to play.
Yeah, because
some has to go for tuition, somebody. He says, this is what you were screaming about. We've made the grounds. No parent sends their kids for sports.
Yeah,
That's strange.
That's true.
That's the problem. In Hishton, when we were in Hishton, we were not allowed to go home till we finished the sports. Yes, it was
But
compulsory.
that's the thing. My son has always been doing both things, studying and playing.
I don't know if you know this, in junior school in Hishton, we had a sleep period.
Yeah.
After school, we had to sleep in a
In
hall.
the
The
afternoon.
gadas were laid out.
Both my brothers went to Hutchison, so I...
And after we woke up, then we were supposed to play sports, and then your car used to come and pick you up. You were not given a choice.
See, the elite had their car pick
Elite,
up. Proletariat like me used to cycle.
It's not even...
Not in junior
when I was growing up, I went to school in Sargodha. I went to a presentation convent, and we had a basketball court.
Yes.
We used to play volleyball. We used to play baseball. We had our own version of the game. But
Right.
I remember my entire childhood, growing up in a small city.
Right.
There was sports.
Yes.
And we played sports until the end of school.
Achha, when I train Faisal,
Yeah.
people ask me, when I promote sports, and people say, Ji, you really plug sports. So is it because of physical? I said, this is the misconception.
Yeah.
It's because of physical
No.
fitness. I said, to me,
Character.
It teaches you how to lose.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
the only.
Sportsman
It's the
spirit.
only
We're going
thing
to
in
come
the
back
world.
to losing,
Yes.
right? We're just going to take a short break. We'll come back to losing. So a short break, and we talk next about losing. Losing being the path to success. Stay with us. Welcome back. So here is a winner, right? He's been a tennis champion. He's represented Pakistan. He's played the Davis Cup. He manages the Davis Cup team that is playing recently, and he's talking about losing. So Azam, we want to hear you on that one. We want to hear you why it's so important to learn how to lose.
If you turn on the television every evening and you watch these series of talk shows that represents us today, the one thing you'll notice is that none of the people talking know how to lose.
Absolutely.
Have ever accepted...
So they will never step back.
Exactly.
Right?
And sports is one thing. It's probably the only thing in the world where if you lose, people still love you as much.
Absolutely. It's a question of how you played.
Exactly.
Right?
Every other thing. I mean, in my job, if I lose twice, I lose it. People are going to say, thank you very much. Yeah. Let your successor come in. So sports teaches you how to lose. Yeah. And one thing Pakistan has forgotten how to do is to lose, and to lose gracefully.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, he holds one world record. Mm-hmm. Arguably the finest basketball player.
Not just the finest athlete. He
Absolutely.
could have played baseball. He could have played football.
Absolutely. He holds only one record in basketball. You know what that is? Most missed shots.
Right. Because he takes the most shots.
Exactly.
Right.
Nobody has more missed shots than Michael Jordan. And that's the world record. The only world record he has is a losing world record.
But he's still...
And he is the...
But that's not losing.
Exactly.
Right? Because Wayne Gretzky, the famous ice hockey player, right? He says you will miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
So if I have a good enough percentage in terms of the shots I've taken and the ones I've scored, I'm still ahead.
Absolutely, I agree. So yes, I'm a real. Fortunately, my son is a good sportsman.
Right.
Mercifully, he took a liking to it. He's an avid mountaineer, much to the distress of his parents.
Right.
He climbs these cliffs and
Brilliant.
Yeah, and but there's nothing we can do but wish him well.
We recently sponsored a young kid. He calls himself the Desi Mountaineer, right? To go climb a mountain. So he's done 5 programs based on that expedition.
He
went to Shimshal.
Trying to go up the Everest.
Yeah, he went to the base, I think to Camp 2 of,
base camp,
No, he went past base
Oh,
camp.
he went to Camp 2.
Camp 2. He's climbed Gesherbaum.
Okay, that's a mean mountain.
I think the best thing about sports is that sense of unity.
Yes.
The teamwork.
Yes.
Even if you're talking about a sport like tennis, even then, when you're competing against somebody, you always know that one of the two is going to lose.
Yes.
And to be able to accept defeat with grace. But what you were saying was that, when sportsmen are fine, But the way public reacts to, for instance, cricketers losing,
Yes.
a cricket team losing, you know what happens in India.
Yes.
And what happened after...
What happened in Colombia was even worse. They shot and killed their goalkeeper,
exactly,
who would, who would
This
actually
reminds
let
me
in
of
a
one
goal.
of those things that was said about Saddam Hussein once upon a time. I think it was Uday Hussein, and it was a football team, and they lost in some World Cup something, and they were kicked out of the tournament. And he
So Azam, let's come back
made
to
them
the
shave
school.
their mustaches
Okay,
and beards.
okay.
So what is going to be different
Oh, wow.
about this school?
I tell you, I must have done something right in my previous life that
Yes, you did. You carried the briefcase for Noor Khan.
God gave me this opportunity. It's really the highlight of my life. And we pilots call this short finals. You know, you're on short finals.
Brilliant.
And I could not have...
Yeah, you've flown 9,000 hours. I forgot to tell you guys, this guy flew rescue missions for 911.
So, yeah, it's a delightful project. It's the first of its kind in Pakistan.
Brilliant.
Something that Pakistan desperately needed.
Right.
Okay.
So, to prepare to have this conversation with you, so I read a report, right, on the potential of tourism in Pakistan.
Yeah.
$25 billion.
Absolutely.
Right? $25 billion.
Absolutely.
So we need to have the capacity
Absolutely.
to take in $25 billion.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So now,
and we need to do this now in a structured manner.
Yeah.
You know, people, I've been involved in tourism for 40 years, and people
44.
spoken about it. They've spoken about it, but you know, we've got it wrong.
Yeah.
We've got it wrong. The first thing we have wrong is that we feel every time the word tourist is mentioned, Agora comes to mind.
Right, not necessarily. 1.7 million people
Yes.
came from abroad last year.
Yes.
Right? Most of them were overseas Pakistanis.
Exactly. Bilkul. And our concept of a tourist is Agora. You can't have tourism unless you convince the Pakistani to travel.
Absolutely.
Pakistanis do travel.
They don't travel half as much. Do you know that we used to go to Germany and England every year for many years because the two largest tourism fairs were held there.
Right.
And we used to convince their people to go to Texela. You know, it's the finest museum in the world. You must go. And Gandhara and this and Buddha. Half of Islamabad has not
never
been
been
to
to
Texela.
Texela.
It's 20 minutes away.
Never been to Takhbai.
Exactly.
Right?
This is what we are.
look at it from a tourist point of view. Not that I've been to many places in Pakistan, unfortunately. I mean, what you just said, that Pakistan people don't travel. Because I find it difficult. I find it difficult to book, for instance. I don't know how to go to, for instance, Kagan. How I would go about, booking a hotel. And then I'm always very conscious about what the hotel would offer.
Yes.
I mean, would there be water? Would there be an endless supply of electricity?
Yes.
Would there be Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is our tourism industry working in the same way? I mean, is it copying the rest of the world?
Well, the Prime Minister's
as far
priority
as
is tourism, and I hope that they're doing this, and they should be doing this. We need to start bottom up. We always start top down. How much can you harp on K2 and how high K2 is? There are 11 people in the world who can climb K2, and that's it. The other thing is we try to sell infrastructure, and we need to sell stories.
Yep, absolutely. You need to sell the experience.
Exactly. And like somebody was mentioning to me 2 nights ago, that what is Egypt? Temples and stones and graves, right? Aesthetically, it's not beautiful, but the stories behind that has millions and millions of people going to Egypt.
Yeah.
We need to sell our stories, and we have a whole lot of them, okay? You go into the fort here in Lahore.
Yeah.
There are millions of stories. You won't have one qualified person there. And the one who will be giving you a story, he's probably made it up last night.
Yeah.
So you need to understand the concept. This school, Faisal, is a collaboration with Sheffield Hallam University. This is one of the finest hospitality schools in the UK. And we are going to take our kids here, allow them to spend 2 years with us and 1 year to Sheffield to get a BSc in International Tourism and Hospitality.
Which means they can be qualified to go anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
I hope they work here.
Yeah.
So,
Mehr, we've been the provider of rank and file. In tourism, we are rank and file providers.
Waiters and cooks.
Waiters and cooks. Our kids go to Dubai, they live 5 to a room. This school will give you a manager. This guy is going to go...
A leader.
A leader, exactly. It's a leadership school. He's going to go into any hotel in the world with a Sheffield degree, and he is going to get a managerial job. So that is our contribution, and I'm so glad that my principals and my boss and the owners, it's their dream. It's been their dream for...
I love the way Hashwani is doing things.
I think it
Murtaza is... I mean, I have come to really admire him. I've never met him, right? But I've seen the way he's been investing.
You have to meet Murtaza Hashwani. Not that he's my boss. I was hesitant to join the group. I'd spent 20 years in Serena.
He's very humble.
But once I joined them, believe me, it's one of the finest decisions I made. He's such an enterprising person. And
I mean, I can endorse that from a totally different angle.
Yes, okay,
right?
yeah.
From the way they treated a startup that was incubated with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I have not seen any other fund do what the Invency Fund did, which is the prime mover behind that is Murtaza. Right. So I quote that as an example of what a fund should do.
Absolutely.
What an investor should do.
Absolutely.
Right. So
you're talking about training people, and they can go anywhere in the world and work. What I have noticed in the Middle East, I lived in Bahrain for a couple of years, and what I've seen in the hotels in Dubai, that every person in any kind of managerial position, or even the bellboys, it's all Indians.
Yes.
They're Indians or Sri Lankans, and there are very few Pakistanis. I noticed in 2014, in 2017, the last time I was in Dubai, that I started to see Pakistanis in hotels, in like important positions. And if you can, if there are people who do want to go to other countries to work, I'm very glad that they will have a chance to get a degree here in Pakistan that would help them anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely. And we are talking about Murtaza. When he asked me to head the school, we were very clear, because I told him, I said, so if we do this, we either do it well
or
we don't do it at all. We cannot have a part-time hobby.
Or I'll go back to playing music. I'd rather play my keyboards than do something which I don't believe in.
And he agreed 100%.
Do we have a keyboard here?
And he's been so supportive. It's costing a lot of money to set it up. Our association with Sheffield is very expensive, but so be it. The curriculum, 100% has been acquired from Sheffield. To the last sentence, whatever Sheffield teaches its students, we will teach them here.
Brilliant.
So I'm very excited.
Faculty, where is the faculty going to come?
Faculty is going to be a kind of an international faculty. We are looking at 2 kids, I call them kids because they're 30 years old. One is a Sri Lankan, one is a Briton, he's in England. And the head of faculty is going to be a Pakistani. But we want young kids because they sort of kind of engage with students better. So faculty is going to be international. The faculty once hired, Faisal will go to Sheffield for training.
Right, brilliant.
Has to.
Okay, let me ask you something, right? So there's a lot of money. There's a lot of donor money around, right? World Bank recently gave the government of Punjab, right, something like $50 million for tourism. Right? So part of it is infrastructure, part of it is developing the capacity, right? Which also means guides, which also means all that. 3 years ago, I'd gone to Myanmar, right? And I met somebody there who had just started a program which is being funded by the government of Luxembourg to train 1,500 women in hospitality management, right? So building capacity. So how much do we see of that coming, right? The school is a beginning, right? And I believe you plan 3 more campuses after the first.
The 3 campuses are going to be opening this is not a long-term plan. Murtaza Hashwani wants 3 new campuses open in 2 years. So Lahore, Karachi, and probably Gilgit-Baltistan. We want to be all over Pakistan, so kids in their local environment have an opportunity to go to school. Your question, yes, a lot of people are very eager to offer scholarships. We are speaking to USAID, we are speaking to British Council. Murtaza himself has said that you identify the top students to
the
me.
Hashwani Foundation.
I'll send them to Sheffield.
The Foundation is there.
So people are very, very generous. And we would like them to fund us primarily for Sheffield more than us.
Okay.
Because kids...
Yeah, that 1 year.
Yeah, that 1 year is going to be expensive. Yeah.
What is the capacity of the school? How many kids are you going to take?
Okay. Our peak capacity at the Islamabad school is going to be 400.
400?
Yes, but we're going to start with 60 to 80.
Okay.
As they move into the second semester, 60, 80 more coming. At the end of year 2...
So in 2 years, you'll have 400.
People, yeah.
And then they keep just cycling.
Then one semester goes...
That's one school.
That's one school.
Right? And there are going to be 3
and by
others.
that time, in 2 years, we'll have 2 more open.
Brilliant.
Right. So it's very exciting. And
you see a lot of interest from younger generation.
Oh, and Murtaza was telling me, he told me, Azam, it's time for the Hashwani family to pay back. This is payback time. Yeah. And he said, I need to give something back.
But it does dovetail into their primary business also, right? So they are the hoteliers of Pakistan.
And Faisal, one of the unique things in this school is, it's one of the few schools around that has the backing of 8 5-star hotels.
Brilliant.
You see?
Yeah.
Even Cornell depends on our own school at the campus.
Culinary.
Yeah, I mean, they call it Statler Hall.
Yeah.
This school has 8 hotels behind
it. It's like a teaching hospital.
Exactly, teaching hospital. We have 8 expatriate chefs. One of them will come and teach them Chinese food. One will teach them Italian food.
Can I recommend one from Japan for the tempura?
Well, you had Japanese food the other day.
I know. Yeah. I was watching a documentary, and I didn't know that tempura actually originated in Portugal.
Yes, it did.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a Portuguese thing.
Exactly.
But this guy is an artist with tempura.
I was going to say
so
that. Most chefs are artists.
He makes it an experience.
Yeah.
It's not just food.
Exactly.
It's an experience.
Absolutely.
So while we salivate, I'm going to take a short break and come back. Right. So we're going to talk more about the school. Pakistan has huge, immense, tremendous potential. Right. We have a youth bulge, right, which can, if we harness it in the right way, change the fortunes of this country. Right. So, and here is one man, right, who's doing that day in, day out. So we're going to come back to Azam. We're going to talk about that. Take a short break. Welcome back. So we're talking to Azam Jamil about the potential that Pakistan has, the hunger that's there amongst young Pakistanis to be able to do things. And here is an opportunity for a lot of young Pakistanis to become leaders in the hospitality business. So Azam, why Sheffield, Hallam? Why not a Swiss hotel management school or something?
That's a question that's asked of me quite often. Stephen Henderson is my colleague at the Hashoo Group.
Right.
And Stephen heads our strategy. And Stephen is visiting faculty to Sheffield Hallam also.
All right.
So we had a head start there.
All right.
Secondly, even after Stephen's intervention, no school in the UK was eager to come here.
All right.
Okay. We are on that list.
Still?
Well, we are on the cautious list.
On the cautious list.
We are on the...
because if you can't travel to a country, you can't go and do anything.
And we are on that, we'd rather not list.
And the long-term thing, that things might get bad.
I mean, it's just better to stay away.
The fear factor is
exactly. So even convincing Sheffield was a challenge. We started, when Stephen and I have been going there for about 2 years now, trying to sell, and they weren't biting. Till such time that we switched strategy. So rather than sell the Hashoo Group, we started selling Pakistan.
Brilliant.
So we became Pakistan's tour operators, and we said, okay, to let the Hashoo Group set aside, we'll sell the country first. And we started selling the country. And it was after 2 years of relentless effort that they finally agreed. And now the Sheffield Vice Chancellor is arriving on the 1st of May.
So when you say you sold Pakistan, you're selling Pakistan, what would you say to them?
Well, we just said that there's hardly a more beautiful and high potential country on the planet. I said, I mean, you don't know what you're missing. Also, we told them that, do you realize how many students go to foreign universities from Pakistan and don't come to Sheffield?
Yeah.
Once you have presence here, we have a lot of overseas students. And they go to, let's say, the Ivy League schools.
I mean, I spent many years in the UK.
Yes.
I never went to Sheffield.
Exactly.
Forget about the university. I never went to the city.
Exactly. And I said it's an opportunity for you, for your other schools, your business schools.
Sheffield sounds very industrious, right?
It does.
And it sounds like rugby.
You know what it is? It's the Wazirabad of UK.
Okay.
It's famous for cutlery.
Things you say, Wazirabad of...
No, it is. Because Sheffield is famous or has been famous for knives and forks.
Right,
And they,
right.
And they have a museum there which has 200 years. Knives and forks were made for Queen Victoria and the royal family. So it's very famous for that. So I call it the Wazirabad of the UK.
Absolutely.
This just reminded me, I don't know why Sheffield reminded me of this. This is Marion, I guess Fennings, her name, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Pfennij, so I guess it is Fennings. She works for the German embassy. And she's always been tweeting about Pakistan the way Martin Kobler was doing. So she said, so regarding the potential of Pakistan tourism, I'm still a bit hesitant because in my German practical thinking, there's still so much to do. But then I see gems like the hotel I stayed over the weekend and I'm like, yes, that could really work.
Why people go to the hill stations in the summer? It's not because they like the hills. It's because it's too hot here.
Yeah.
It's an escape from the weather.
Of course.
It's not their love. Once they go there, they don't step outside of the hotel.
Yeah,
other than the true...
it was the Britishers, right, who created these hill stations.
Bilkul.
Right, whether it was Murray or there's Shimla or there's Dalhousie, right, they used to move the whole government.
Exactly.
Right,
It was the
summer
summer
station in the summers.
Thinking of a place like, for instance, Langkawi.
Yes.
That is the only place I can think of right now because even though a lot of people go there, it doesn't give you a vibe of a commercial place. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It has very simple beaches, simple shops, because they want people to get out of the hotels. They have beautiful hotels, but they want people to get out and do things.
Yes.
So, do you think that we would be able to offer outsiders things to do in Pakistan?
That's exactly what Faisal and I were talking about. This is what tourism is. You create the experience, okay? How different is one good hotel room from another? Let's face it. I mean,
they're all the same.
They're all the same, the same television, the mini bar.
Yeah.
The experience lies outside, okay?
Absolutely.
And we need to get people to go outside. The rest of Pakistan, I'm saddened to say this, is that it's as beautiful. The problem is that the summer holidays, where people have time, the rest of the Pakistan is excruciatingly hot.
Yeah.
You can't go to Multan in the summer.
That's
where the holidays are. In the winter holidays, you have 20 days.
So what do you suggest?
So, no, I'm just saying these are challenges that we face, okay? You want people
Pakistan is a
Okay,
hot
Azam, let me
country.
share something with you, right? So 1989, we had the Ad Asia Congress in Lahore.
Yes.
Right? And we're going to have it again this year.
I heard, yes.
Right? Now, do you know how we won the 1989 Ad Asia Congress? Right? Because prior to that, it was in Seoul, in Korea. And we were bidding against Australia and Singapore.
Okay.
And we won it. And we brought it to Lahore. Right? So Hamid Haroon led that bid. So what do you think was the secret weapon he used?
I have no idea.
Alan Fakir.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time the delegates would come out of the convention hall in Korea, in Seoul, Alan Fakir was there with his iktar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he would start singing for them.
Absolutely.
And all the delegates who were going to vote, they said, we want to go where this guy's from.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to go there. So it's about the experience.
Exactly.
It's
Remind me of
about,
the dhol
what
guy.
you see outside.
You see, we need to, as the
Parveen.
cliched, we need to sell the sizzle now.
Yeah.
Enough of selling the steak, okay? And we need to create the sizzle. Right now, we don't have it. In the Lahore Museum, there's a 2,000-year-old Surai. What do you call a Surai in English?
Surai is good enough.
And on the description, it says Surai.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Now, it's a 2,000-year-old artifact. For God's sake, we want a description.
They say Surai.
It just says Ek Surai.
This is so funny what he just said. He said it's a Surai. And it's actually
and
a
that's
Surai.
what it says in the museum. It says a Surai. Now, I'm visiting a museum. I want to know what the story of the Surai is. I know it's a Surai.
Picture with a thin
like,
neck.
Yeah, it's a picture with a thin neck.
This guide thing, you see it all over the world.
Yeah.
Wherever there's a lot of tourism and all these old places, where Europe is full of them. Even in India, and Indians are a lot like Pakistanis in the sense that they make up their own stories as they go along. But at least it's a business. It still exists in India. What I've noticed in Pakistan is that there is not a lot of tourism as far as cities are concerned.
No, that's not true. I mean, there is a lot happening, but not enough.
No, what I'm saying is that I think it's all
Have you been
changing.
to the Shahi Hammam recently?
I think I went to the Shahi Hammam and I thought it was. But no, what I'm saying is it is changing. I was coming to that I'm glad to see that it is changing. Now people are talking about it. So what you just said, that the story has to be told.
Absolutely.
We cannot sell them the Surahi. We have to sell them the story behind the Surahi.
If you go and sit outside Lahore Fort, people going in, and there are guides there, you'd be surprised how people avoid these guys. They don't like them.
Yeah.
Because they said, "Hum khud dekh lenge."
We
don't need this guy to tell us what this is. You see, that's the tendency. The reason is that they're not really interested in the experience. They're interested in the Sheesh Mahal or whatever. And that's what is to be created. You know, these are acquired tastes.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
We've got people eating raw fish now, don't we?
Yeah. And loving it.
And loving it, right? So we need to create, and that's what the tourism in training should be.
Yeah.
And guides is
creating experiences,
is a certified program. You can't have people deciding कि मैं अब guide बन जाता हूँ.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Teach them, train them.
That's what the hospitality school will do. You know, and I was coming on a bus this time, and I saw these lovely girls who are hostesses in all these bus services, and I said, I'm going to train them too.
Yeah.
And we're going to have classes at the school.
Yeah.
These are.
I mean, they can tell you a story through your journey and say you're passing.
Exactly.
You know, Jhelum and
these girls come from modest backgrounds, you know, and they are hassled and heckled, and why can't we increase their capacity?
Absolutely.
And there's a girl who made me sign a comment card, and because I wrote it, now she was very concerned that I may have written something against her. So she said, "Aapne kya likha hai?" And I said, "Padh lo," and I realized she couldn't read. She couldn't read English. So then, you know, and then I said,
but you have to give her marks for doing this job.
Exactly. Right. It's a very, very brave thing to do.
Which brings me
yes.
to the little conversation we were having about Air Marshal.
Yes.
Right? And he called the director operations of PIA.
Yes.
And he said, why do our planes stink?
Yeah.
Right?
He said, why aren't our bathrooms clean? And he said, our people are careless. He said, okay, are our people careless when they travel on other planes? And
other airlines, huh?
Other airlines.
They are.
And they said, yes, they are. So then he said, why are those bathrooms clean? So the answer came was, there are people are equally whatever mess they make, but the cabin crew there cleans the bathrooms. Our cabin crew says, this is not our job. We are not going to touch, even in our homes, we have somebody coming from the outside. Yeah. This is not what we touch. Okay, we will not touch a commode, for example. And our cabin crew says, I haven't signed up for this, to clean other people's thing. So the passengers are the same, but our cabin crew doesn't change. Now, ordinarily, you would hear, okay, you know, if that's the way, what can you do? You can't convince these girls to start, they'll leave the job. They'll go home and say, they're making us clean toilets, and we didn't sign up to clean toilets. So the Air Marshal, being the Air Marshal, he had 2 cleaning men fly on every flight.
And they went to New York.
They went wherever
they stayed at the
they stayed at. So they were, these 2 men, every 20 minutes they used to get up, sparkle the bathrooms, go sit back.
But how do all these...
That's amazing.
By the way, is it still happening?
No, it's not happening.
No, the dirty bathrooms, the dirty toilets.
Yeah, they're still dirty.
I remember during a flight from a Middle Eastern country, there was this air hostess... what's the correct word? I always forget. Air hostess or flight attendant or...
Flight attendant.
They use flight attendant, and they used to use stewardess, but now they use flight attendant.
So she was like, I think, from a European female, and I said, why do you look so hassled? And she said, somebody from your country is taking a shower in the bathroom, you know, those little cups. And, But what I'm saying is that after whatever that person did, if he thought he was going to take a shower, they must have cleaned the water.
That's the difference. The other day I was flying to London, and I was about to enter the toilet, and this stewardess flight attendant was sitting there, and she stopped me. She said, let me first take a look. She went in, took a round, and then said, go.
Yeah.
You know, she just wanted to make sure...
We're coming to the last 2 minutes, so I'm just going to read out something. It says, had the best 3 hours spent listening to Azam Jamil give us invaluable life lessons. I cannot think of another time when I had students and faculty glued to their seats, not worrying about when the lecture would end. Azam Jamil, you have won over University of Lahore. God
Does that
bless
make you happy? That was a good day.
I'm very flattered. They've been very kind.
Dr. Rabia Akhtar.
Yes, I'm very flattered. I had a very good day at the university today. The students, I think they like me for one simple reason is that I'm not a conventional trainer. You know,
You're not a motivational
You
speaker.
spoke about life.
I just speak and...
You're not a life coach, motivational speaker.
You know, one of my ex-bosses, Prince Amin Agha Khan, said that truth has its own strength. So when you're speaking the truth and it comes from your heart, people feel it.
That's the most important thing.
So I don't have any Excel charts, anything. I just speak from the heart. And fundamentally, I tell them what they already know.
Right.
You know, there's nothing new. I tell them what they already know, but they realize that, okay, this is what they're not doing, and this is what they must do. So it was a delightful morning that I was very happy with.
Wonderful. So these kids were lucky to have you there with them.
Right?
As was I.
Really, I find it's the most important thing.
Yes.
They'll say.
Yes,
So, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
We're going to come and visit your school.
Absolutely,
It
would be a pleasure.
in September.
Absolutely.
I definitely would like to
The announcement of the school, formal, is on the 2nd
is
of
on
May.
the 2nd.
And all the best. And
So we're going to get
you.
somebody to come out there at the announcement and cover
Absolutely.
it also.
I've already sent you an invite.
Yeah, you
I
have.
said thank-
I will probably not be able to come because I'm going to be in Karachi.
But you can send one of your own.
No, the crew will come.
Absolutely.
We'll have
thank
somebody
you,
from Islamabad come.
your Murtaza Hashwani and everybody else who's involved in
think,
this.
So AJ,
I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Absolutely wonderful to have had you.
Thank you so
with
much,
coffee. I've got to get you back with Harun and Salman.
Absolutely.
Also.
Absolutely.
Right, now that'll be a riot.
Absolutely.
That'll be a riot.
Yeah,
Your cousin. Your Arai cousin.
My Arai
Wonderful
cousin,
things that you're doing for Pakistan.
And Pembra will probably have to come in there.
Pembra will
when the
probably
three of
shut
us
us down.
when the three of us are together.
They'll probably shut us down.
Thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure. So we had Azam Jamil, right? Pilot, musician, hotelier, right? Somebody who
Golfer.
speaks from the heart, loves to interact with young people, has been training people for 44 years. Isn't that amazing? Thank you very much for being with us.